Hello and welcome to My Own Worst Enemy. It is unboxing time yet again, and today we will be unboxing Stellar Conquest by Avalon Hill. I've taken an interest recently in, I guess, grand strategic space games, and I was lucky enough to find a copy of Stellar Conquest that is, I believe it's unpunched. We'll take a look. I don't think it's ever been played. So this came out in 1984. It's, if I understand correctly, it's kind of considered a forerunner of some of the more modern space exploration, well, computer games and board games, like Space Empires 4X, I think might be very similar to this. And I think somewhere I saw that there was a PC game that was an implementation of this. I'll have to go check that out because I don't remember which one it was right now. But yeah, this is supposed to be one of the games that kind of inspired some of those other games. So let's take a look and see what we get with Stellar Conquest. And I do think this is going to be an unplayed copy because I see, well, there's 2D6, and that's the old, it's like those old, this looks like the old D6s that came with Starfleet battles about the same time period. There's the General and Do a Friend a Favor card, so we don't need those. What do we got in here? Well, we got cards. Let's set those aside for just a second. And we go right into the rules of play. Honestly, this rule book cover has I'm getting stuff all over every time I open one of these new games, they shed. I'm getting a very Space Empires 4X vibe from just this color. The blue and the artwork kind of reminds me of that. I'm sure it's just coincidence. Looking inside here, it's typical of a rule book for its age. It's not very colorful. It's not glossy paper. Looks like it is rules light though. I see a lot of verbiage. I don't see any graphic examples. There is a player record sheet, so it looks like this might be a little bit of a spreadsheet game where you're going to be tracking a lot of information on paper. That's kind of like Space Empires 4X. Production rounds. Yeah, this could be, I'm not sure what's going on here, but it looks like they're tracking information on each system. So yikes. So there's 11 pages of rules, and they're not all rules, so very rules light. Very rules light game indeed. Let's set that aside and go a little bit deeper into the box. Looks like the map. I'm going to set that aside just for a second. And we're going to pull out the rest of the stuff in here. We get a task force card, and this looks like kind of well, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these task force cards. So you would, I guess, identify probably to keep counter clutter off the map, I'm assuming. Looks like it also doubles as a player's aid card, as there's weapons research, technological research. Like I said, I'm getting a very spreadsheet feel in this game. Looks like there might be a lot of information to track. And here, this is going to confirm it, I think. This is a notepad that, oh, look at the back of that. So yeah, this is a notepad that's filled like that little example we saw where you're going to have colony information. You're going to be tracking ship speed development, weapons development, technological development, and you're going to be, it looks like, plotting stuff on a map too. So a lot of record keeping in this game. There is record keeping in Space Empires 4X, so it's not unheard of. And here are the counter sheets. They are half-inch counters, and there's not a lot of information on the counters. In fact, there's only one number that I see, and there are just rudimentary drawings of spaceships. They all look, I think they all look identical, so there's not like each race has its own type of starship. There's something called a D-Star. I'm going to assume that's a Death Star, but we can't say that because it's probably copyright issues. So it's 4 half-sheet counters of each empire, it looks like. So you have the 4 colors representing that. And we have some cards, and they look like they're color coded. These cards are not very fancy at all. In fact, they're pretty, just tear them apart, it looks like. And it looks like they are star system cards. And so you would get, like, for this top one, it looks like yellow, and if you open that up, it is yellow. So it tells you, well, there's a yellow. I guess what happens is when you explore, and we'll look at a map here in a second, I'm guessing when you come across a star system, you don't know what's in it until you explore it. So you probably draw one of these cards. So, you know, you see you enter a yellow system, you draw a yellow card, and it would tell you, well, it's a Terran world that can hold 40 million people. So I honestly don't like these cards. I don't like the feel of these. I don't know how, as far as shuffling these things and if you're using these things, I can see where they're going to wear down pretty fast. So it might be worth considering. If it's a game that I think I'm going to play a lot, then it might be worth considering either getting some blank just typical poker cards and making your own cards that you can use, or maybe just using a table and rolling some dice to come up with what you're doing as far as exploring systems go. I'm not a big fan of these cards, though. That's kind of cheap feeling to me. Hey, it was 1984, though. What can I say? This board looks like Victory in the Pacific. The same leatherish looking back, even though it's not leather, it's just heavy cardboard. Let's open it up, though, and take a look at the game board. It is space is blue in this game, apparently. So there's where your card decks would go, and like I said, I think looking at the board and looking at the cards, that's exactly what you're going to do. Is you're going to enter a system and pull a card to see what you found. You've got a couple of player's aids down here, but that's pretty much it. I see 4 entry points in each corner, so I guess there's not a lot of variety when you play this game. You're going to start in one of the corners and work your way inward. So it is interesting looking. We will try this one. I'll try it. Like I said, I love Space Empires 4X. I've got that and all the expansions. I even bought the big 3-inch box to try to stuff all that stuff in, and I don't think it's going to fit, but maybe it will. I don't know. It'll be a challenge to try. There you go, Stellar Conquest. Quick look at the components, and like I said, I'm looking. I've got several of these space combat games, space 4X type games that I want to go through and play. Maybe eventually do some kind of comparison contrast in how they play. It's going to be really hard to knock Space Empires 4X off of the top of the reigning ladder for me, because I love that game. I think it does a really good job of what it tries to do, and that's create a Space 4X game that works on not on the computer, on the table. So, and maybe I'll play that one of these days. That's going to be a lot longer to go through, though, because those can be really long games, as maybe this one can be too, but we'll see. As always, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will bring you more stuff. Thanks for watching.